Welcome class back to Chapter 2, Developing a Web Page. This video will cover Lesson 2, Create, Import, and Format Text. Just a reminder, as you're going through your assignments or your practice through Striped Umbrella, to refer to the modifications that are there for Creative Cloud 2021. Okay, so creating, importing, and formatting text. So most information in web pages is presented in the form of text, and it is the most important information is the form of text. You can type text directly on a page in Dreamweaver. You can import or copy and paste it from another software program. To avoid font compatibility and accessibility issues, you can use Typekit, a company acquired by Adobe in 2011 that provides you access to web fonts. So not only is the text that you provide on the web page important, but how you actually display it on the web page is important as well. So generally we say 2 different fonts for our web pages. So one for the body section and one that will be used for headings. Okay, so the way fonts are rendered or drawn on the screen, difference between Windows and Macs. And so we'll learn font combinations and how we will work through them. So if you're not using embedded fonts, it's wise to stick to the standard fonts that work well with both systems. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on formatting fonts in this particular lesson. We'll use that in a later chapter, and we'll learn those essential skills and how we can bring in those types of Google fonts that we want to use that make our web pages pop. Text, again, should be attractive, and we'll focus on that in a later chapter, and it should also be easy to read. So we want to make sure our fonts also provide us for that as well. Along with easy to read, it should also make sense, right? So when we're writing our content for our coffee shop website, we want to make sure that it makes sense. And you also want to incorporate what we learned about in lesson 1 with keywords. And so the more you can come up with the keywords, you can apply those keywords into your paragraph format. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So previously, web designers used the property inspector to apply formatting attributes such as font type, size, color, alignment, indents, thus creating HTML tags. Tags are part of the code that specify the function for all page content when viewed in a browser. So your paragraph tag, your emphasis tag, your strong tags, your articles, your headings, those are all tags. But we're going to use cascading style sheets as the preferred way to format, say, our emphasis and our bolding. Okay, so we're going to use CSS for our presentation. What that allows for us to do is separate the presentation of our page versus the structure of our page. So the structure, again, is the tags. We have a body section. We have a header section, a navigation section, an article section, maybe an aside section. And then within those we have paragraphs, we have headings. That's structure. We're telling the browser, hey, this is an article. Hey, this is a side. Hey, this is a navigation element. But we're not telling it how we want those to be actually be presented. So we're going to use CSS to work with, hey, what's the color of the font? What's the size of the font? How much space is between the lines? That's the presentation in CSS. We also even will further learn later on in further courses how we can separate the content of our pages out. So we've got content, we've got structure, and we've got presentation. Those are the 3 things that will make up a web page. And the beauty of it is that when I want to update the presentation of it, I go to the CSS. If I want to update the structure of it, I go to HTML. If I want to update content, I go to where I'm supposed to be getting the content from. I never assume that I'm an expert in any website that I develop because I'm not the client. Okay, they know more about their business than I will ever know about their business. Okay, so if they can supply content to me, then I don't have to be the expert in their business. Okay, I can be the expert in how to present it and how to structure it in a web page. And again, when it comes to maintaining, those three are all separated. So a font combination is a set of font choices that specify which fonts a browser should use to display the text on your web page. So again, Typekit has given this as part of Adobe, part of a Dreamweaver, and so then we can have these font combinations that will allow us to say, here's a Windows font, then here's a Mac font, and then here's a generic font, and it gives us a list of when one doesn't work, let's go to the next one on the list, and then keep going down the list. The HTML Properties Inspector is going to allow you to change your structure of your page. So if you needed to go from a paragraph to a heading, it'll allow you to do that as well. It'll also allow you to apply classes that you've created in your CSS Designers panel. Okay, so let's look at pages 14 through 19. So let me go ahead and actually pull this up in the book. So lesson 2. And I'm just going to click through here until I get to, okay, so here is the entering text. Okay, so number 1 says position the insertion point directly after want to go home at the end of the paragraph and press enter. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're entering in this address that you see here. Okay, so you want to go home, hit enter, then we're going to type in the striped umbrella, and then you're going to shift enter on your keyboard. Okay, so shift key, hold down the shift key and then enter, and that will do just a line feed instead of a blank line in between. And then shift enter again, and then we have Fort Eugene, Florida. You'll be able to type that pretty well by the time you've typed it as many times as we need to. And then we have their phone number. Okay, so their contact information, where they're located, always good information to have on a website. And now we're going to format that. So you got a couple of ways. There is highlighting the for, selecting the for. Notice in the code we have a paragraph because we have a blank line before it and a blank line after it. Okay, so that's a paragraph. And then everything is separated with break tags. So we're going to go use the Properties Inspector. So I'll open that. And then we're going to italicize this. Okay, so now we have those. It adds the emphasis tag. Now another way I could have done that, I'll Control Z to undo that. I can do Control I on my keyboard, okay, and that will do that as well. It doesn't matter how you go about doing it. You could even came into the code and type the EM tag before the striped umbrella text and then after the phone number. Okay, but we're learning Dreamweaver, so it's kind of nice to apply what Dreamweaver will offer us. Okay, this is your index page. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I'm going to do a file save as. So essentially what we're doing right now is we're using this page, the home page, as a template for another page. So we're going to use it for SPA. Well, we created SPA in the first chapter, and it was just a blank page that we created over here via the Files panel. So when this prompts me to save over it, I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'd like to overwrite, yes. So now SPA page essentially is the same as index, but now we have to make some modifications to it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is get rid of the content, except for the address. We want to keep the address. So I'll go ahead and delete. Now what I want you to do in code view is I want you to remove these paragraph tags. Keep your cursor there, and now you're going to insert an image. So what you're going to see me do now is navigate to the data files, and then I'm going to go ahead and always make sure that I'm saving in my striped umbrella. But before we do this, I want to make sure that you have set your default images folder to your assets folder. Because when I navigate to a data file, it will automatically copy it to the assets folder if I have that default images folder set up. Okay, so I'm going to double click my striped umbrella. and I'm going to go to servers, or actually not servers, I'm going to go to advanced settings, and then I'm going to click on local info, and I want to make sure that this is not blank, that this is pointing to my assets folder within Striper Umbrella. So you're going to want to make sure that that is set for Blooms as well, TripSmart, and for your coffee shop website. If it is not set, then you're going to end up with file paths that are going to be very incorrect. Okay, and when you upload to the server, you're going to have problems with that. Okay, so I'm just going to hit cancel because I already have that. I'm going to make sure my cursor is in that blank area because that's where I want to insert my image. And then I'm going to go to insert on the insert panel and then go to image. So it's the second one in the list. By the way, in the instructions for the modifications here, it says quite often that we're using the HTML category and not the common category. There used to be a common category here, and we're going to be in HTML for a majority of the semester. We're going to be working with Form, and I hope to get into Bootstrap components. Okay, so HTML. Then we click on image, and then we got to navigate to where we're finding that image. So mine is in my documents folder. This is where you have to find your data files. Reminder, your data files are in course messages. So data, and then chapter 2, assets, and then it's the C spa logo ping file. Now when I look at how it's inserted in the code view, I see that it says image source equal assets. If it says something like C:/ and it goes down this long path, you know for sure that you do not have your default images folder set. Okay? You can enter your alternate text in here in code view, or we're going to do it through the properties inspector as well. But just make sure that there's no p tags around that because we don't need it to be inserted in a paragraph. Images do their own thing. Okay? We have a paragraph after word that works really well. I'm just going to tab that in a little bit. Okay. With the logo selected, type the C Spa logo as Alt. Okay, so you can type it again here, or you can use Property Inspector. I'm going to make sure that the image is selected before I go to Properties. Drag this back over, and then I'm going to do the. Now, this is a great spot too for keywords. Okay, so how will people find you when they Google you? Oh, I put it in the wrong spot. I think you should put it there too. So put it in Alt and put it in Title. Title is when they hover over it. If it's a link for sure, but usually we have these the same. Okay, so Alt and Title. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit Enter there. And now it's added to our code. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save. And then I'm on page 17. So let me go ahead and get here to page 17. Okay, so I'm in this copy and paste text. So now I'm going to get text below this logo. Okay, and then we're going to format it. So we're going to open up spa.txt. So again, we're going to go File, Open. And we're going to go to the data files. So we've got to navigate through your channel there, your path, spa.txt. You're going to go Control-A or highlight everything, and then Control-C, or you go copy, and however you want to copy. And then you're going to come back to spa.html. You're going to hit Enter, and you're going to paste. Okay, make sure that you're up in the design view when you do that. Otherwise, you're not going to have the beauty of all the paragraphs that are going to be and the breaks that are going to be inserted. So design view, not code view. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then I'm going to go on and do some changing of the text. I'm going to use the property inspector to do so. So the CSPA services on page 18 says to take this to a heading 1. So where it says format, I'm going to go to heading 1. And then it just says that and then number 3, massages. Facials and body treatments, they're going to be heading 2. So I'm going to highlight all 3 lines, and I'm going to change this to a heading 2. Updates the paragraph to a heading 2. Okay. Heading 1s and heading 2s are very important on a website. Again, when Google comes through and does its crawling and indexes you for their search results, they look for heading 1s and heading 2s. So keep that in mind when you're working with Coffee Shop. Okay. We're going to do spell check next. We're going to go up to Tools, and then spell check or Shift F7. And we're going to, this one, just because I'm in later on the document, I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I want to check the entire document. So massage is misspelled, so I'm going to change that one. Exfoliating, it says to ignore. And the address one, it says to ignore. And then I'm going to go ahead and say no. Okay, so just the massage one was updated there. Again, on page 219, it says to go to the commands menu in number 3. Okay, it's on the tools menu. And again, that is noted over here, 219 tools menu, then to spell check. Okay, that is your lesson 2. Okay, thank you.